afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good this afternoon because I am. Okay, so previously, some of the things that we were talking about were pretty much how our senses plays a big role in our struggles that we struggle with in our flesh. So far, we went over sight. We went over like pretty much just a little preview of that, of what we see can kind of, help open up windows to struggles in our flesh. Also, certain things that we hear. We also went over certain scents that can mess with some struggles that can wake up something in our flesh. And today we're going to be talking about taste. So obviously we know that taste is a part of our five senses, of course. I'm going to read something out of The Struggle is Real, and it stood out to me. It says, "For quite a while, Adam did not notice Eve at all. As I stated earlier, she was naked and beautiful in the right atmosphere. But it was not until Adam ate the fruit that both of them knew they were naked. That says a lot about fruit and what it can do to our sex drive." So that right there alone, knowing that at this point it's Adam and Eve. They're both naked in each other's sight, but sex did not occur until after they ate something. So knowing sex is a natural problem, taking that out and actually thinking about it, like it's not spiritual. Sex is pretty much, in our flesh, it's in our nature to want to do these things. Because if it was, of Satan, everyone that's married, their sex drive would have a demonic force behind it. And, so that's not necessarily true because we have saved married people. Okay? So if sex was not natural, it cannot be solved by doing a fleshly act, So we sometimes feel like, prayer can take away everything. Don't get me wrong. Prayer is really good. Prayer is really good. And, it can help with certain things, but it cannot help with every struggle that we have. I noticed that in Matthew chapter 26 and verse 41, it tells us to watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. So many times I'll say, we'll sit up here and pray about things knowing that we can sometimes prevent things from happening. Just speaking on myself, that sometimes we don't want to be kept. So sometimes, we'll pray about it, but we know that some things require strategy and to watch at this certain time. I feel like this. Like as women, it's a certain time of the month that our bodies is more vulnerable to want the touch of something. So knowing when to separate yourself at this particular time of this season, you have to know yourself and you have to gain strategy. Of course, praying is wonderful, it's great, but it's not going to help with every struggle we have. You notice, as again, in Matthew chapter 26, verse 41, it says, watch and pray. So watching plays a big role. I'll say tasting plays a huge role in sex today. I remember, just to testify a little bit, I remember I had a family member who made hooch. They call it hooch, but it's pretty much fruit that's pressed down into wine, and the longer it sits, the stronger it is. And I used to drink before I got saved. I used to drink alcohol. I love drinking alcohol, but to see the difference between the liquor and this hooch that they had made, the hooch had gave me a different type of feeling versus the alcohol. Now, both wake up something, but it was something about the wine. Hooch is pretty much wine. And it did wake up something, I can pretty much say. So tasting can wake up something in your flesh. That's why it's good that we be sober. I can honestly say, being in the world and being a drinker, it was more so, it did increase my sex drive, just being transparent. It did make me want to do more sexual things. So stay away from it, be sober. I will root for you to be sober. In the Songs of Solomon, it mentions a lot about fruit and sex. If you take the time out to read about it, you'll see that it's pretty much a comparison of the two, how they go so good along together. I'll say certain foods can affect the body. And when you think about that, I'll say, look, you have people that can't eat certain things because it affects them with high blood pressure. You know, certain people who have diabetes, they can't eat everything that a person that, is healthy can eat, because the foods they eat affect the body. So if that can affect the body, it's some things that can affect my hormones to make me feel the need to increase my sexual drive. So, it's good to watch out for certain foods. If you do have a high sex drive or a high sex nature, you have to avoid certain foods. Now, one thing I can say, we all, old enough to understand that if you was in the world and you did participate in certain things, such as oral sex, if a person is eating bananas, it can sometimes remind a woman who gave oral sex before, because it puts you in a sexual thinking, like your thoughts can go back to that. Even with eating oysters, it can make you think about oral sex, because, it's just how food plays a big role in sexual activity today. I remember, as I mentioned, I believe it was last week, or sometime a few weeks ago, I pretty much mentioned how, many people will label fruit as something sexual. Many people like to be called strawberry, because we sometimes tie food in with our sexual, nature, I'll say. So, be careful of those things. And, like coming into the church now, seeing these things, it does make sense. When you're out in the world, I can truly say you don't really look at the depth of things. All this stuff becomes normal because you're used to seeing it. But when you're no longer in that atmosphere, I can just speak for myself. It's like, okay, seeing a person eat a banana, nowadays you see people on social media treating the banana as if it's a male private part. So it's just like, when you're no longer in that area in your life and you're no longer with those group of people, it's like now you see that the abnormal is no longer normal. So it's just like, it's good to know the difference. I can truly say, being in Church of God, the Bibleway, I can truly see, what's not of God, and how, I did struggle in areas that I really didn't put too much sense in. Like, wow, Alexis, you were struggling in this area, not knowing that you was helping yourself struggle. Like, you was increasing things in your flesh, but hey, when you're in the world, you really don't know any better as much. So being saved, I'll say, is a big bonus, because now I know more things and how to go about things so that I would not, wake up anything in my flesh. Now, I always mention about having a chaperone. I can honestly say it may upset certain people, because, when you think about it, sometimes people can feel like, but you don't trust me, I'm mature enough, sex isn't on my mind. But I can say, being 24 years old, you may go somewhere with good intentions, but if you're already attracted to the individual, he may not disrespect you, he may not treat you like a harlot or anything, but the attraction is already there. So obviously it's already some type of lust between the two of you. So if the both of you are alone, it's only setting the atmosphere. And once again, we're talking about taste. So if you're both going out to eat, your mind may not be on sex or anything, but after eating certain foods, the atmosphere is already kind of set. And if you do not have a chaperone, it can sometimes, go somewhere else from there. It can be y'all two sitting down out to eat, having a normal conversation. now the both of you done with your meals, y'all sitting down, y'all talk a little bit, you see that you're enjoying the conversation, and he may ask you, hey, do you want to go for a walk around the lake or something like that? And boom, you both go walking around the lake. And now as you walking, you're feeling some type of way about this individual, and you never know what you may not do. So, just be real. I'm 24 years old. I can honestly say having a chaperone is real because I don't trust myself, and you shouldn't trust yourself either, especially when you have interest in this individual. So that really plays a role in many things, and I'm thankful that, we have leadership that tells us about these things. So listen, it's pretty much common sense. We've been talking about the 5 senses. We talked about seeing and how, that can affect us in certain areas in our walk, because it's just like the eyes. It's pretty much easy to lust over things when you see something that you're physically attracted to. It's nothing wrong with that. And also with hearing certain things can bring sexual thoughts. And we sometimes do not even want to admit, because sometimes it do be pride that play along with things, because it can be embarrassing. Sometimes we do struggle, young or old, with sex issues. Who want to sit up here and be like, man, I'm battling, I'm a little hot? It's in our nature too. But also, before you get to the point that you cannot honestly control it, you can go ways about not getting super hot. Just as a young person in my youth, 24 years old, I know myself. See, when you sit up here and lie to yourself and you have this prideful act and you don't never reach out for help when it's needed, I'll say for the ones that's in the truth, we have it right here. I'm new to it. I've been out doing my own thing for years, and I'm just now coming into the church, and I've been here for 2 years, and I can honestly say, if you want to be saved, you can be saved. Sex is normal. It's just that we don't have license to do it. If you're not married, of course, it's illegal. But it's not. You're not an alien or anything because you want to have sex. It's just that you cannot have sex right now. But God will not put nothing on you that you cannot bear. So He always made an escape for us with these struggles. So I'll say, if you are young and you know. It's nothing wrong with wanting the opposite sex. I hope you don't want the same sex, because I know I want the opposite sex. But I know it's not my time right now. So instead of being on the phone 24/7 or laid up, which you're not supposed to be laid up. See, that's why you need a chaperone. But, just booed up on the phone, always talking, increasing the lust in me or wanting to know more about this individual. Instead of that, I will sit up and use my time with something else, because if you engage in something, 9 times out of 10, you're enticed, and sometimes, I'm going to go to it. It's a verse, I believe it's in James chapter 1, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yes, James chapter 1, verse 14, it says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So it's just like we all have lust. So anybody who walking around making it seem like they don't lust after anything, you a lie. I have my own lust, but because I know myself, see, I'm not going to lie. If I get drawn away of my own lust, it's not good. That's why I need to, surround myself around people that's not battling how I'm battling. Because sometimes we can sit up here and vent to a person just like this. If I'm getting beat up in a relationship and I go vent to my homegirl that's getting beat up too, well, how can she give me any advice when she got a black eye too? We both getting beat up. So why, sometimes we can play with ourselves. We go venting to people that's hot just like us, not really getting the help. That's why it's good to reach out to people who can actually help you and show you, ways about it, and, not being prideful about your struggles or anything, because once again, if you want to be saved, you're going to go about trying your best to be saved. Just like if you want to go on vacation and, you have bills back at home, you're going to put in overtime so that way when you go on vacation, you still can pay your bills. So I'll say even with being saved, you can definitely make it. But like looking at just me reading The Struggle is Real, and I encourage anyone who's watching to buy the book and to just read it on your own, because you can really study out of this book, and you can really study the body, and you can see how you work, and you can really relate it to yourself. And okay, I struggle with this. Okay, now I understand. Okay, so I thought this was demonic. So now knowing, because I said before, when I first came into the church, I was on a spiritual high. Like, the high is good. I don't knock anyone down. When you come in, it's a zeal. I can't explain it because it's so fresh. But don't get so caught up in that you stop praying. You don't do the things that you need to do to survive as a saint. So when you come down from the spiritual high, while you're up there, pray. You may not have no struggles, no temptations right then, but they're going to come, because once again, in James chapter 1, verse 14, it says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust. So you have some lust in you. And if you was in the world once before and, you done did things, you know how it feels to go have sex if you're not a virgin. You know how it feels to, lust after certain things. I mean, even though you're not doing it in this particular season, don't think that you're not going to get tempted with this thing. So it's good to, pray. It's good to watch. And it's also good to, be truthful with yourself and also to your leader. I can truly say, going to the man of God about certain things, it helped me because I don't know it all. And when you look at yourself and realize that you don't know it all, that'll help you as well. I'm a work in progress, and I know I don't know it all. So any instructions that the man of God give me, or any instructions that the men of God give you, follow them to the T. And also, I'll say the biggest thing, and I keep saying, I'm always say, be real with yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, you don't really want help. You're not going to get the help that you truly need. And I'll say, being young and saved, I see a lot of younger people always try to highlight that it's hard. And I can see it's because, we do have a young body. Our body is not asleep. It craves things. It wants things. We're in our prime where, we're attracted to the opposite sex. We want to date. We want to be married. We want to do these things. And just talking about me, coming out the world, I didn't have restrictions on my life. I did what I wanted to do. So coming out the world, doing what you wanted to do, and now doing everything the right way, some people want to be saved, but they still want to do their own thing. So I'm here to say, you cannot do your own thing and want to be saved, because it's not going to work. You're going to rise up in your flesh, and everything that you was doing out there, you're going to end up doing. So make up your mind whether you want to be saved or not, because you can be saved. I can truly say that, because even though I know how it is to be out there in the world, I also know that it's a way that I can remain, protected. If I stay up under this roof, if I do the things that if I go to fellowships, if I get myself involved with people instead of always having worldly friends. Now, don't get me wrong. You do not have to cut off all your worldly friends, but there should be a certain distance, between them, because I used to hang out with my worldly friends, and all we did was things that's no good. I don't do those things today. So the only way that I can actually hang out with them if they're in my atmosphere. So it's just like, I know I can't go to certain places with them because that's what I used to do. It may wake up something from my past. So looking at myself now, I know that I can remain saved if I, go to the fellowships, if I involve myself in ministry. But if I'm sitting home all day with all this time to think, I may just start thinking backwards, rewinding back into my past. Now it's like, okay, I remember this. Ooh, this don't sound too bad. And then if I'm not praying and I'm not watching, before you know it, I may just be doing something. Shacking is easy. Sin is easy to get into, but before you know, you can be drift off away. So just be real with yourself. So know that the five senses plays a role in our struggles. And I can say, hearing everything, I cannot hear everything. I cannot hear certain musics, even though, I hear them when people riding by. But if I sit up here and engage in this, listening to the lyrics, it's more so like a command to me, because just speaking on myself, when I was in the world, hearing music played a big role in me. I can only speak for myself. I listened to R&B, and all of those songs pretty much talked about catering to a woman body. So it was more so not even just songs. It was more so like a command to my body. So, hearing plays a big role. Seeing plays a big role. And tasting plays a big role. All of this stuff plays a big role in the struggles we have today. So if you sit up here and lie to yourself, sweetheart, that's you. But I can encourage you, to continue to walk this walk, with the confidence to know that you can make it. I can truly say just, reading The Struggle is Real, it just enlightened me on a lot of things. With taste, you don't really think about taste too much. I mean, I was having a conversation with a person, and they pretty much asked me, well, how do you feel about drinking? I know it's not right, because even before I had any Bible, against it, it was more so when I was in a world wanting to do the right thing, I knew that I had to stop drinking. So that was like a conscious thing that I knew this was not of God. Because for one, every time I drank, I wanted to do something that was not of God. It only increased me to want to do something, that's against the will of God. So I'll say, if that's the case, then I should not be drinking. So it's more so like when I explained to her about that, she said it really does make sense. Because for one, if drinking can cure things, then you would not need another drink, I'll say I used to go to drinking for sex. I used to go when I'm sad. I used to go when I'm happy, blase, blase. But at the end of the day, drinking did not cure anything. All it did was enhance whatever emotion I had. So if I already wanted to go out to the club, I pregame to set myself for that atmosphere. That's why I say, you know how to survive when you're out in the world, but it's tips and instructions that we can follow in the church if we can survive as being saved and sanctified women of God. Listen, it's lit. I mean, being single, it's nothing wrong with being single. You get what I'm saying? But just know that you're going to have some temptation. You have your own lust. So when you sit up here and, you really examine yourself, because I noticed that the 24-year-old me is not the same as the 18-year-old me. My body is different. I'm more mature in my body. I have different desires, and my lust done increased to a whole nother level. So it's just like I'm not the same as who I used to be. So knowing who I am today plays a big role in my walk with God, because now I know that I can truly say what works for sis may not work for me, because, I can't handle that. So I'll say stop looking at the next person walk with God and focus on you, because you may have a different type of battle, a different type of struggle, and you're trying to get her here, and it's not helping you at all. So I'll say really examine yourself. Watch and pray. Watch yourself. This time of the month, I feel this way, and as ladies, you already know at a certain time of the month, you feel like, our body is in a mating season. So be real with yourself at this time. Get yourself busy. Do something with that time that's, valuable to you. Don't isolate yourself from the world, but don't make yourself so accessible in that season, because you already know your body wants something right then. Your hormones is going crazy, so make yourself not accessible. That's all in knowing who you are. Certain conversations do not engage in. Don't always sit up here talking about marriage. You're single. It's not your time yet. Do something else with your time with the conversations, because sometimes, even though the conversation is innocent, y'all may be talking about marriage, but eventually you're going to start thinking about past relationships. You may start thinking about males. Now you want to have a male conversation. Don't get me wrong. Talking to the opposite sex is no sin, but know your boundaries. Know yourself. Know what you can take. And I'll say that can really help you with this journey of being saved. So knowing that, okay, I can't be around everybody. I can't see everything. And I have to stay up under here, under God's people. I have to be around people that's like me. I have to not just sit in church and hear. I have to be a doer. And it's just like, it can be done. A lot of people say it's hard. I heard it myself. It's hard, it's this, it's that, but it's not impossible. Now, if you start saying things is impossible, then I'd be like, all right, then God wouldn't expect you to, he's the God that do the impossible, so he know we can't do it. That's why we lean on him. But he gave us things that we can handle. So I'll say if you want to be kept, you can be kept. Sometimes in our life we do not want to be kept. I can honestly say it was a season in my life that I let my flesh rise, and I didn't want to be kept. I did not. I didn't. And that's where you can go wrong. So if you want to be saved, you can be saved. Just to encourage you, you can be that strong, sanctified woman of God. You definitely can, and I'm rooting for you, because if you really take heed to what the man of God is saying, or even getting close to, a woman in the church that knows something, an aged woman that can teach you something, it's important. It's important that you do get close to someone so you won't have all this stuff bottled up inside of you so that you can vent, but with people you can trust. Now, so I can honestly say I found somebody in the church that I can be truthful with. So opening up to that person, it helps me, because they can pour back into me. They can teach me something, and it can help me. So, a lot of people be like, I don't talk to nobody in church, I don't trust nobody. Well, you're going to have to get away from that mindset and find somebody. I know it can be hard because, people got different struggles. One may be gossip. But it is somebody in the church that's truthful. Everybody is not the same. So, take the time out to observe and find you someone. And I'll say find someone that you can pray with. Somebody that you can, somebody that can stand in the gap for you. Someone who can acknowledge you're wrong. Having a friend that will tell you you're wrong is good. You don't want someone who can help you with these struggles and let them rise. You need somebody that's going to stop you. Sis, you did wrong. You don't need to be doing that. Why you got that on? No. You need somebody that can hold you accountable, and also holding yourself accountable, because I may want you to be saved, but if you really don't want it, it really don't help. So you really have to want this thing, because it's no push like your push. I remember when I wanted to be saved, it was, I didn't have this, before I came into the church, I didn't have none of this. But I was surrounded by people who was doing everything I was trying to get away from. It took for me to want better for myself. So I'll say, if I would have never, and I thank God for putting the thoughts in me, but if I would have never, pushed myself to do something, that challenge, I don't think, without the Lord's strength, I don't think that I would be here today. Because I had to make that choice. It's probably people that did want to see me better, but if I didn't get up, then I would have never, got what I needed. So if you want to be saved, you have to push yourself in certain areas. You have to push yourself to pray. You have to push yourself to watch, because I can see sometimes, we run to the man of God, not knowing that we're crippling ourselves. Our struggles, that gives us something to pray about. That can strengthen your prayer life. Everything is in front of us. If we sit down and actually do the things that we need to do to be saved, we can remain saved and sanctified women of God. So, as I said before, to encourage you, listen to the man of God. Listen. And literally take heed. And I promise you, you can make it. So from another saved sister to another, keep pushing. And I hope everyone enjoy the rest of their afternoon. Have a good day.